code of every digital system, there's one very important thing, and that is trust. But how do you build and how do you maintain trust in a world that is driven by algorithms, by automation, by sometimes even replacing human effort with artificial intelligence? Well, our next presenter, who will join us online, will give insights on the role of certification, on conformity assessment, on accreditation in ensuring cybersecurity, reliability, and confidence in digital solutions. And although she will be online, you will have to trust her because she has the credentials to do that. She's the director of the Latvian National Accreditation Bureau and a leader in transformative reforms. Let's welcome to our cyber chess stage digitally, Miss Gundega Jaunbērziņa Beitika. A round of applause. She can hear us.
Hello.
Gundega,
do you hear me?
Welcome. Yes, we can see you, we can hear you. You look absolutely wonderful. The next 25-ish minutes are yours.
Okay, I will share my screen as soon as possible to be fast. Do you see?
Yes, we can see your screen and
amazing,
it is beautiful.
Amazing. Good day, everyone, and thank you for having me here at CyberChess 2025. I'm sorry for remotely. I would like to be on site, but not today. And I want to talk about something that has been become very absolutely critical for our digital world, trust. And not just the personal trust, but digital trust. Trust that can be measured, verified, and can be also demonstrated. And in a world which is built on data, on AI, and connected system, we all know that trust is not a feeling anymore. It is like systemic element, and it affects everything. How we share information, how we do business, how we governments deliver services, and how society function. And that's the core idea also of this presentation, to show how certification, conformity assessment, and accreditation together can build and demonstrate the trust, because today, trust is no longer about what I as an organization say or you as a business say. It's about what we can and how, in which way we can prove it through transparent process, through reliable data and independent verification. And first, let's start with this global view, according which the OECD 2024 data shows that only 39 people trust their government. And that means more than a half of population lives with low or no trust in public institutions. And this lack of trust, this trust as a deficit, does not stop at the public sector. It also spills over the business, technology, and even personal decisions. And when people and companies don't trust, a lot of things slow down. Investment become cautious, data sharing is restricted, innovation often stops before it starts. So trust is not a soft issue anymore, and it's a strategic and also economic factor that directly affects how market work, how regulation are accepted, and how competitive a country or company can be. And if we want to attract investment, if we want to create innovation and keep our digital economy healthy, we must treat trust as a measurable business need, not just a moral one. And now let's look at how trust shapes business and brand success. According to the Edelman Trust Barometer 2024, we see that this is what we call the trust economy. The trust has become a kind of currency. It drives sales, loyalty, reputation. But here is the key. Trust cannot be claimed. It must be proven. And that's where certification and accreditation come in. They give organizations independent, verifiable proof that what they promise is real, that their systems, their products, their behaviors meet recognized standards and requirements. So in today's world, managing reputation is not only about communicating or branding anymore. it's about evidence, and evidence provided through audits, third-party certification, and transparent reports. That's how modern organizations earn trust and keep it. And let's move from personal trust to system trust. In the past, trust was about the people, just handshake, a promise, a personal reputation. But in the digital world, that's not enough anymore. And we interact through the systems, through the platforms, through the algorithms and data networks. So we need this systemic trust. And the World Economic Forum defines this digital trust and the condition where digital technologies and their providers protect people's interests and uphold social values. And that means we must make sure that our systems, not just our people, we are built to be secure, to be transparent, accountable. And this shift is very essential. It means that security, reliability, and accountability are no longer like only the IT topics hidden somewhere in back office. They are boardroom priorities, and trust now depends on having this embedded verification and compliance mechanisms. In other words, we create trust not by what we say, but how our process and standards actually performs. To help government and organization build that system level trust, the OECD created this digital trust framework, and it focused on the four main pillars: identity management, security protocols, algorithmic transparency, accountability, and oversight. And these four elements are not just technical features, they are management responsibilities, and leaders must understand them, must measure them, and ensure they are part of every digital project. And the message is very simple: building trust is not an IT task, it is a leadership duty. And let's go even deeper to the foundation of everything: data. And if the data we use is wrong, incomplete, or outdated, no system can be trusted, and not even the most advanced AI models and systems. So what does data trust mean in practice? It means the quality, protection, maintenance, auditability. And only when these four conditions are met can we say, only then we can say that our data and therefore our digital transformation is trustworthy. So building trust starts long before the certification and the regulation. It begins with how we collect, how we handle, how we protect our data every single day. And trust is systems begins with trust in data. And let's look at the global dimension, how data moves across the borders. So OECD initiative, DFFT, is about finding this right balance between data mobility and data protection. On one hand, economies need data to flow freely, especially for innovations, for AI trainings, for cross-border services. On the other hand, we see that governments and citizens need assurance that their data stays secure, private, and used responsibly. So the DFFT framework creates three main building blocks, which is based on legal framework, the technical standards, and institutional mechanisms. And when organizations can demonstrate they meet these conditions, not just claim it, they gain what we call trust capital. They become reliable partners in the global digital economy. So in essence, DFFT moves trust from assertion to evidence. And that's how digital cooperation can grow safely across borders. Now let's go back to something very practical. How do we actually prove that something can be trusted? And that's where conformity assessment comes in. And conformity assessment very simply means that checking whether the product, process, system, and even person meets certain requirements. And usually it's based on international standards and regulations and best practice. And thinking of it is of it as you can think of it as a structured way to say, yes, this works as promised. It builds and it builds on the 3 steps: the rules, like the standards or criteria we use, which is stated in ISO, in EU regulation, or some technical specification. And then the second step is checking the actual, like, verification, testing, inspection, auditing. And the third step is like this final statement or certificate that confirms our compliance. And in short, conformity assessment transforms trust into something visible, verifiable, and it tells customers and regulators and partners this organization has been independently checked and it meets the requirements. And without conformity assessment, we would rely only on self-declarations. With it, we get measurable evidence-based trust. And let's go one step further. The certification. And certification is the process where this independent third party confirms that an organization, system, product, persons meet the requirements. And it's the moment when we comply becomes it's officially verified. I just mentioned here this 3 example of ISO standards, which 9001 confirms the quality management, 27001 demonstrates information security, and 40001 shows this commitment to environment management. And these certificates are not just documents, they are market currency, and they open doors for international trade. They strengthen reputation and also help businesses and organizations win contracts. And when you see a company that is ISO certified, it means they have been tested, verified, and found competent by independent authority. That's how certification turns trust into proof. Know that we have talked about the certification. Let's go one level higher, the accreditation. And accreditation is all about competence and credibility. And it means that the body performing certification or testing has itself been independently assessed and recognized as capable, impartial, and consistent. And so there is kind of trust chain. An organization follows the standards, a certifier checks and confirms that standard is met, and accreditation body like LATAK in Latvia verifies that certifier is competent to do that work. And this layered structure creates what we call a chain of trust from individual organizations to certifier to the accreditor. And across Europe, this chain is managed under the European accreditation framework, and it ensures that once a certificate is accredited in one member state, it is accepted across the European Union and even globally, and thanks to mutual recognition agreements. That's why accreditation is not bureaucracy. It is an enabler. It makes certificates portable, trustworthy, valuable worldwide. Let's look at a few of the most common international standards that you should also to know that supports this wild system of trust. Maybe you already know of them. As I already mentioned, 9001, 40001 for environments, 27 for security and protection of information, and 45,001 about the employment safety. And then there is the 17,000 of standards which are especially rely to conformity assessment authorities. Each of these standards just build a different dimension of the trust in process, trust in results, trust in data, trust in people. And together, the standards form this like a backbone of international trade and compliance, and they help suppliers, regulators speak in the same language. A language of evidence, not just an opinion. So when you see ISO codes, don't think paperwork. This is proof of performance. Now, let's connect all this in the field of cybersecurity, which is at the heart of this conference. The European Union has developed a unified cybersecurity certification framework for ICT products, services, and process, and it is coordinated by ENISA, an EU agency for cybersecurity, and it provides this structure for creating this European level certification schemes. And there are already a few key ones that the common criteria schemes providing the cybersecurity assurance for ICT products, the EU cloud services currently being developed, and also we see very soon will be on the table these future schemes for 5G, for AI, and other emerging technologies. And the idea behind this scheme is very simple. Cybersecurity certification become a trust label, a visible signal that the product or service meets European security requirements. And it's not just a technical badge, it's market access requirement. And more organizations, especially in critical services and critical sectors, are asking suppliers to prove compliance through certification, so that cybersecurity certification is the next frontier to trust in the digital economy. To understand why cybersecurity certification matters so much, we need to look at the real threats landscape in Europe, according which we can see that ENISA Threat Landscape 2024 stated these top risks today, which are not just abstract, they are hitting our systems every single day. And we see these three biggest threats are like availability attacks, randomness, data threats, and we see that these threats don't just cause these technical problems, they undermine also the trust and the very thing that keeps us like digital economies running. And so the ENISA message is very also clear. We must move from reactive security checks, things like audits after incidents, systemic resilience. And that means continuous monitoring, regular reassessment, alignment, single point of failure. Only with this mindset, organizations can demonstrate their security and their trustworthiness. And it is continuous, not occasional work. And let's move into one of the most important pieces of European legislation today, the artificial intelligence. I think you all know this pyramid where AI Act introduced this risk-based approach in AI systems. And it recognized that not all AI carries the same level of risks, and therefore not all AI needs the same level of control. And the idea is very similar to how we handle this CE marking for products. Before entering the EU market, AI systems must demonstrate this safety, reliability, and trustworthiness, not just claim it. So compliance become a measurable, evidence-based process, just like with any other regulated products. Now, one of the most interesting part of the AI Act is Article 43, which talks about substantial modification. And it says that when an AI system undergoes a major changes, then the system must go through this new conformity assessment. And this is incredibly important because it creates this like continuous trust cycle. Trust doesn't stop once a certification is issued. It must be renewed whenever the system evolves in a way that could affect performance or risks. So providers will need this clear process to detect, to document the changes, to know exactly when reassessment is required. And this ensures that trust in AI is not like a static, but very living and evolving together with this technology itself. And now that we have discussed about the AI defined trust and risk, let's look a little bit in the standard that helps organization achieve it. The one of the standard is the first management standard for AI, artificial intelligence, and you can think of it as a ISO 9001 as a quality management standard for AIs. And we see that it gives also organization very structured way to manage AI ethics, risk, accountability, and through the same familiar cycle we already use in whole quality manager and PLA do check act model. And the 2001 ISO helps organization to show that our AI systems are not just innovative, but also responsible, explainable, and trustworthy. And certification to this standard provides also the market confidence and prepare organization for AI Act's future conformity requirements. So it is not just a compliance tool, it is a strategic advantage. Next, let's turn very shortly to the EIDAS, the regulation that defines how digital identity trust service work across the European Union. And it introduced the European Digital Identity Wallet, which allows citizens and businesses to identify themselves and share verified data securely anywhere in Europe. But this ecosystem can only function if all parties trust each other. And that's where certification and accreditation came in. And this create like a chain of legal recognition. Certified trust services and wallets are like automatically recognized across all the member states. The result, security, cross-border service, strong public trust. And in short, EIDAS also turns the trust into something legally enforceable, technically verifiable, and also globally interoperable. And finally, let's connect this with the data protection, also one of the cornerstones of digital trust. We see that under Article 42 of GDPR, organizations can demonstrate compliance to data protection certification mechanisms, also known as seal and marks. And this certification also help and gives us incredible power, because this allows us to provide this evidence of compliance, transparency and accountability, operational benefits, competitive advantage. And GDPR certification, I would like to say that reframes data protection not as a cost or burden, but as a strategic trust asset. It tells the world we don't just follow privacy rules, we prove we protect your data. And now let's step back and look at the broader social context, because the digital trust doesn't exist isolated. We are living in an era where misinformation spreads faster than truth. And according to World Economic Forum, AI-generated misinformation is now the #1 global risk. And also, NSA reported that cyber attacks targeting media, election systems doubled. And across Europe, especially among young people, trust in institutions and traditional media is declining. So what does this mean for us as a leaders, as a regulators and professionals in digital transformation? It means that trust must be earned and demonstrated, not assumed. We cannot rely on promises or brand reputation alone. Instead, we need these evidence-based trust signals like independent certifications, transparent audits, measurable accountability metrics. And these tools can help us as an organization also prove our integrity in an environmental field with disinformation and manipulation. In short, conformity assessment and certification are not just a technical tool. They are like antidotes to misinformation, because they can transform trust from an emotion into a verifiable fact. And as very shortly, let's talk about something very organization depends on supply chains. In today's interconnected economy, we are only as secure as our weakest partner. And we see that supply chains are now major attack vectors. And think about it, a single unverified vendor or an insecure service provider can compromise entire network. So trust must be extended beyond only our own organization. It must be reach every supplier, contractor and data processor you work with. And here is just an example how we can lead organizations now managing this supply chain trust through this certified suppliers, requiring these partners to hold this accredited certification. Through this independent audits, we need to schedule this regular third-party assessment to verify this ongoing compliance. And the third, we need also integrate this conformity and audit requirements directly into supplier agreements. And only this approach can help us replace these self-declarations and then questionnaires. We find this evidence-based assurance. And the outcome, of course, is greater resilience, faster incident response, and the supply chain you can trust truly end-to-end, because in today's digital economy, your supply chain is part of your security perimeter. And finally, let's talk about something deeply human, the culture. We often say that trust begins inside an organization, and research, of course, strongly supports that. And according to HBR High Trust Workplace Experience, we see that the numbers which change the way how we organize the business with the trust environment, with less stress, with a higher productivity, greater engagement, and less burnout. So yes, trust pays off, but here is the challenge. Many organizations have these values written, as I said, on the wall, lacking this evidence that they live by them. And there is where verification matters again. And we can connect this stated values, things like integrity, safety, transparency, to this verifiable evidence like certifications, audits, performance indicators. And when we do that, values turn into measurable results. The higher engagement, better stakeholder confidence, stronger reputation, because in the end, trust is not declared, it is proven. And culture is not what written in a policy, it's what consistently demonstrated and measured. As we come to the final stretch, I want just to make one thing very clear. Trust is not public relations, it is management. And we cannot manage what we don't measure. And that includes also the trust. It needs to have these KPIs, just like quality, finance, and safety. And here is just some examples of trust KPIs that is forward-looking for organization already use. The transparency, how quickly incidents are resolved, the certification coverage, the percentage of critical process that hold accreditation certification, audit compliance, how many surveillance audits are completed on time, for example, supplier assurance, what percentage of key suppliers hold valid certification, stakeholder confidence, the result from internal or external trust and ethical surveys. And when we integrate these metrics, sustainability dashboards into sustainability dashboards and executive reports, I think something powerful happens, because trust becomes visible, manageable, and improvable. So let's stop treating trust as a slogan. It is a system, it is a discipline and a governance responsibility. And connecting this all to the one big ecosystem, which is quality infrastructure, QI, this is like a hidden backbone that makes trade, safety, innovation possible, and it builds on these 4 pillars like standards, metrology, accreditation, conformity assessment. And together, these pillars create this global trust network, one that supports everything from food safety and cybersecurity to clean energy and AI. Why does this matter strategically? Because investing in quality infrastructure means investing in trust itself, in confidence, in consistency, in credibility. And in my opinion, for small countries like Latvia, this is also an incredible opportunity to position ourselves as a region hub for trustworthy innovation, especially in areas like AI, cybersecurity, digital governance. Trust is not just a value, it's a national also advantage. And as I close, I want to bring everything back to one simple message. Trust is the invisible currency of our digital world, and it underpins security, innovations, and collaboration across borders, across sectors, societies. And now we have the tools to make trust measurable, verifiable, scalable through standards, through certification, through accreditation. So as we move forward, whether in government or business and technology, let's remember, we don't build trust by promising. We build trust by providing. That's what turns digital transformation in something, I think, sustainable, something people can rely on. Build trust, shape excellence, secure the future for people, for organizations, and society. Thank you very much. And if you would like to stay connected, you can always continue this conversation. Find me on the LinkedIn. Thank you.
Thank you, Gundega. A round of applause from our side. Just one quick question as lunch is upon us. I think it's a good one. Certifications can sometimes be quite expensive. Smaller companies just cannot afford them, thus they are struggling and they're in a cycle, so to say. So what do you think is a good solution for such situations?
Yes, trust is not a cheap one. It is in the first place. But in the second place, I also know that there is some programs from Latvian investment and development agencies to support the entrepreneurs to increase this trust, especially when we want to provide our services cross-border. Therefore, yes, trust costs the money.
Thank you, Gundega, for showing us opportunities, how to build trust, showing the importance of trust and what matters both in business and in government level. So a round of applause to Gundega Jaunbērziņa Beitika for joining us and being a part of this game we call cyber chess. Thank you, Gundega.